Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, and welcome back again to Cannon Fodder TV. The Easy Talk, still probably one of the best shows, I think. No, it's just one of those shows on the platform. That's all it is. That's all it is. But it's Friday, and Friday means it's crackerjack. No, it's the Easy Talk. It's the Easy Talk. So we've got some Friends Reunited part 2 again. Bottom left hand corner, Scott. I remember the last time you was on a platform. I can't remember when it was. You left a really good impression. I mean, all the guys were saying to me, you know what, you got to get Scott back on again because he's analyst. You know, the way he speaks. I said, right, okay. But you know what? It's like a lot of things takes priority above doing a podcast. Isn't that right, Scott? Like work, family, the wife.
That's right, yeah, all those things. But it's always a pleasure to come back. I think it's just the Aussie accent, to be honest. Everyone thinks I've got, but I'm not Big Ange, all right? So no Big Ange talk tonight. We'll keep it purely Arsenal.
That's a good one. That's a good one. The enforcer, Des.
I'll do the headbang for you there, Alex.
All right, okay, headbanging.
It's great to be back on with you guys, and yeah, I love this. I love talking about Arsenal and everything Arsenal, so this is going to be good.
Brilliant. Good to have you back anyway. And a certain Martinelli's agent needs to get that commission. Vincey, brother.
That's right, man. Good to be with the family. Hi, guys. So it's yeah.
Good. So I wanted to start off the first segment with a screenshot from someone who responded to a poll that we put on the platform about who plays in goal against Aston Villa. And there were quite a lot of comments. Some people got a little bit annoyed the fact that we put that question up there, and somebody was kind of questioning Mikel Arteta. So let's have a look at this comment here. So it says, we find ourselves in a situation where we have two great goalkeepers, one so scared to death and out of form, he's chucking them in, and the other demoralized and rusty, collecting dust. Take your pick. You pays your money, you take your pick. Now, Scott, I'm going to go to you first. I put it to you, sir, that Mikel Arteta has made a mistake by buying David Raya. We had Aaron Ramsdale, who was doing a relatively good job, and I was looking at their stats, Scott. They're basically doing the same stuff anyway. But Mikel Arteta made a mistake, Scott.
I'm glad you came to me first on.
All right, okay.
That's an easy question to answer. Thanks. You know what? I'm really conflicted on this because I'm all for competition, and I think that the only way you can improve players a couple of ways. One, through fantastic coaching. Two, through fantastic leadership. Or three, through competition. And I think the competition is important. I don't agree with how Mikel Arteta has handled this competition. I have no problem with David Raya being there because I think every player should have to fight for their place and should have to earn it. My issue is this seems more like a blatant favoritism than a competition. It doesn't seem like a fair fight. Now, Aaron Ramsdale was shaky and was dropped as a result of that. We saw David Raya come in, had a really good start. But now anyone who watches Arsenal would have to say that he has been equally shaky, if not more shaky. So my issue here is about what Mikel Arteta does next. Does he prove that this is a culture of competition he's trying to create? Because if that's the truth, he drops Raya for the next game, puts Ramsdale in. And I'm not saying Ramsdale should be guaranteed 10 games. If he's shaky, drop him again. He's got two keepers now who are just, I don't think either is better than the other. So he's just got to keep bouncing between them, I think, until someone finds form. But it's just, he's created a really tricky situation here. And my hope is that he learns from it and becomes a better manager because he has got better, I think, every season as a gaffer. And I think he's got a really high ceiling, but this is a big learning curve because I'm just praying that this doesn't upset the harmony in the dressing room. We've got Ramsdale, who's very popular with the English lads, very popular with the fans. And you're already starting to get some of that online discourse, the arguments between fans. You just pray that doesn't spread into the camp. But for me, Ramsdale starts the next game because I believe in competition and I believe that David Raya has not been good enough. He almost lost us those points at Luton. So that's where I'm at.
Yeah. It's a quick question to follow on from that, Scott. So if you were Ramsdale, would you stay and fight for your position, or would you think, actually, you know what, I'm out of here, I'm gone?
Look, I think it depends. It depends, to be honest. Like I said, is it a fair fight? Is this a fair fight for the place? Because if it's a fair fight, Ramsdale starts the next game. Because Raya hasn't been poor just for one game. He's been poor for a few. So if I'm Aaron Ramsdale and this is a fair fight, I stay. I think his dad messed up with his comments that he made publicly. Everyone knows Mikel Arteta wouldn't like that. You only had to see the Aubameyang situation. But yes, if it's a fair fight, I stay. If it's not a fair fight, though, he'll have no shortage of suitors. You've only got to look at some of the goalkeepers at our rivals to know that Ramsdale would be hot property.
The enforcer. Do we have two number two goalkeepers? None of them are good as it should. We've got two number 2 goalkeepers.
Right, I'm going to be blunt. I'm not going to be so analytical as Scott. Very well said, though, so I've got to say. But I'm going to be blunt. Raya's not worth the 30 million. Send him back to Brentford. If that's controversial, I don't care. Send him back to Brentford. The way I see it is this. I understand what Scott's saying about fighting for your place. I understand that. Competition, totally get it. But Rambo got us to where we are. Yeah. Raya's picking up the pieces. So to me, right, it's like this. I didn't see anything wrong with having Turner as a number 2 and having Ramsdale as a number 1. Okay? So for me, as I said, send Raya back to Brentford. He's not worth the £30 million that we're going to have to probably pay for him at the end of the season if we decide to keep him. He's making as many mistakes as Rambo probably would. Those mistakes against Luton were, well, amateur. To be honest, they were amateur mistakes. So if I expand on what you're saying as well to the question that you asked Scott about does he stay or does he go, because he's put in the hard work and because he got Arsenal to where they are now, you think about it, guys, Champions League, we're top of the league again. I'm not getting all like, oh, we're going to win it, but we're top of the league again. We're in the Champions League. We've done well in the Champions League. We've actually qualified for the top 16 with 1 game to go, you know. Yeah, all right, he was probably out of form, but yeah, that's my thoughts on it. I think Rambo should be the number 1 goalkeeper.
Does you think there's a aspect of favoritism from Mikel Arteta for David Raya? Because he's been after Raya for a while, hasn't he? So is it favoritism, or what is it?
Possibly, but they're from the same country as well, aren't they? So maybe, I don't know, maybe favoritism. But to me, it's a waste of money. As I've said, it's a waste of money. Brentford wanted it. From what I've heard of Brentford fans, they wanted him gone as well. So, but in good respect as well, even if you did turn around to Ryan and say, get lost or go somewhere else, he could go somewhere else like Scott said that Rambo could go somewhere else. Do you know what I mean? It's take your pick. It's genuinely take your pick. You're on one side of the fence either way, aren't you? You're either for Raya or you're for Rambles. And obviously, it's like a polarised magnet, isn't it? One's not stronger than the other, is it? Do you know what I mean at the moment? That's how it seems to me that fans are feeling. It's why have we put ourselves in this situation in the first place? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Listen, I know, Des, you said you don't even want to talk about whether we're going to win the Premier League or not. But do you think if the situation continues, that the players won't be injuries or suspensions? It might be the situation with the goalkeepers that might kind of lose us a fingerhold on the Premier League.
I don't think I need to say anything, Alex. I think you've just said it.
Right.
It could come down to that. Yeah, totally. I agree with you.
Yeah. Right, Vince, I know you don't really care because you're Martinelli's agent. Well, I want to know what you think.
Well, it's tough to follow Scott and the enforcer there because their comments were quite on point there. It's a tough one. I mean, definitely Mikel's caused this problem. In the summer, we were looking for some reinforcements midfield or up top, and he went out and got Raya. Now, I had Raya in my fantasy team because he's good in fantasy, but you know, we do have two top goalkeepers, and we have two top goalkeepers that are not performing. The biggest problem that I have is when Mikel puts out that he's going to, we don't have a number one and we're going to play on form, as Scott and enforcers rightly said, that Raya's form has been poor. So if his form's been poor and Ramsdale's played in the League Cup, and we're out of the League Cup now, and you stop and you think, okay, well, we've got an FA Cup game coming up. If you say you're playing players on form, ideally, you would think Ramsdale would be the goalkeeper that's playing on Saturday. But I think there's another problem to the way how we play, because there's a lot of talk about the stats of how Raya suits our game. But I think we have an issue now with Tomiyasu out, and we also have an issue with Timber being out. So our fullbacks are going to cause, or if they don't allow crosses coming in, either goalkeeper is going to be exposed to more shots and crosses. And as you saw in the Luton game, for me, that was a very below par performance by Raya in goal. His height difference with Ramsdale is a huge challenge as well. And you think if some of those crosses, Ramsdale's going to come out and collect them. So, you know, it's me personally, if Arteta's going to be true to his press conferences and media commitments, he's going to make that change. I don't think it's a change that is going to put us on the back foot against Villa, because if you look back to last season, you know, even the Liverpool game afterwards, Ramsdale made some really good saves to keep us in those games against Liverpool. So he's not a goalkeeper that we can, you know, the following game you think, you know what, we can't have Ramsdale in goal. We can have Ramsdale in goal. We've got Saliba and we've got Gabriel playing well. We just need to have our fullbacks to play a little bit more better, show for the goalkeeper when we have the press to make it easier for him. So yeah, I think it's for me, it's a clean sweep on the panel. You know, Ramsdale can quite easily start on tomorrow.
Yeah. But I got a funny feeling that we'll see him. We'll see Raya tomorrow.
Yeah,
I believe.
And it's frustrating for me because I kind of switch off when Arteta talks now, because he says one thing and we look and you think this is the right situation to be accountable, and then it's something else.
Yeah,
like he's always trying to mislead us, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Scott, what are your thoughts about what I just said, actually, about the fact that, you know, if it weren't for Ramsdale in some part, we wouldn't have been maybe in the Champions League. So it would have been fair at least to have him playing in the Champions League games.
Look, football's not fair, though, is it?
I know.
Football's not fair. I mean, it's. I appreciate what Aaron Ramsdale did last season, and I think for me, I have no. I don't think either is a great goalkeeper. I genuinely don't feel either is a great goalkeeper or necessarily a title-winning goalkeeper. But what Ramsdale did last season, I mean, he was given the nod to start this season as number one. And unfortunately, he did make mistakes. So, look, I don't necessarily think we owe him anything. We gave him a very good contract coming from, you know, a team nowhere near our stature. So we've helped to elevate his profile. He's, you know, getting called up for England. He's played. So I don't necessarily see it as us owing him anything, but I also don't feel that he deserves to be sitting on a bench against Villa on the back of what David Raya has shown. So I get the sentiment, but yeah, it's so
Scott,
cut.
Does he not have? Sorry, Scott. Does he not have credit in the bank, sort of thing? You know, because of what he's done.
He does, but we did that as a team last season. You know what I mean? And
Yeah,
while
no,
he
do.
he did help get us there, but there's also arguments to say that everyone thinks back to Southampton and some of those games in the late run in last season that potentially some of his mistakes and his shakiness did make it a lot more difficult than it needed to be. I'm not saying that I don't prefer him to Raya, because at the moment, if I had to flip a coin, I'd probably go Ramsdale because of that emotional attachment and that from last season. But I just think Mikel is cutthroat. He seems to be cutthroat, except in these little instances where there are favourites or something a point he really wants to prove. But yeah, it's give or take. I don't think he's owed the position. He should have to fight for it like everyone else. My issue is it a fair fight? Does he actually have a chance back, or has the damage been done after his dad's public statements? That's what I don't know.
Yeah. Quick question before we move on to the next segment. Is Emi Martinez a better goalkeeper than Raya and Ramsdale?
Yep, I believe so. I'd rather have him than either of them, to be honest.
Oh, be careful, Scott.
It's not sentimental for me. He's a World Cup winning goalkeeper, and I think he was more instrumental than Messi in winning that World Cup. So, mate, I'd have taken him.
I've got even though I do love Ramsdale. Sorry, Vinny, go on.
No, go for it, Enforcer, go for it.
I was just going to say, even though I do love Ramsdale, totally agree with Scott on this one. I'd rather have, yeah.
I think when it comes to penalties, I don't think there's anyone close. I think Ramsdale is a good shot stopper, but crosses and so forth, that's where Martinez shines. I just want to say one thing. If anything that Arsenal do owe Ramsdale is to have made a better performance in the League Cup. Because me personally, if you're gonna drop him, and the mindset is that you're gonna bring in Raya and you're gonna play him in the Champions League and you're gonna play him in the league, you really want to put a decent performance in the League Cup to allow Ramsdale opportunities to play. Because playing great against Brentford was great, but West Ham that was shocking. So he doesn't get another game until the FA Cup, and that's not really a way to reward him for getting us in the Champions League, because he's not going to play any Champions League games unless Ray is injured, is he?
Yeah. Good point, actually. Good point. On the next segment, so we saw what happened Luton Town, and we kind of know it was like the second goal and the third goal, David Raya. But what kind of came to my mind was I look at Arsenal and we still give teams an opportunity to come back into the fight. And Reece Nelson, remember his goal against Bournemouth? It was a wonderful goal. But last season we drew against Liverpool, West Ham, and Southampton. But I'm still thinking, lady luck at some time is going to run out. We can't keep looking for the wonder goal. In the dying seconds of 10 minutes of injury time or 20 minutes to get that winning goal there. So, Scott, are we riding our luck again this season, looking for wonder goals in the dying seconds of injury time?
There's something about a wonder goal in the dying second of injury time. I'm not going to lie. It hits differently. But there is an element of this might be a controversial take. I don't think we've played well this season. I genuinely don't feel we've played well. I think we've got I was only having this argument with some mates last night, all Manchester United fans, so they know a lot about teams not playing well. But I was only having this argument saying that I don't think Arsenal are anywhere near the football we're capable of. So whilst I'm concerned shipping 3 goals to Luton at Luton like that, I'm not thrilled about it, but I am thrilled about the fact that we've managed to secure 3 points in games where we've played poorly. And to me, that's a sign of a potential title-winning team. City last year had games that they shouldn't have won, but they won late, and I think we are maybe riding our luck a little bit at the moment, but I have complete faith that our best football is yet to come. We're not even there yet, but I'm seeing a lot of players starting to play better each week. I'm seeing a lot of fight and character from the team. So, look, playing badly, but coming home with 3 points, I'll take. And I don't think we played well at Luton, at least not defensively. So, yeah, I'll take it for now, but God, I hope it gets a little less nervy.
Yeah, it's not good for the heart.
Not good for the hair, my hairline, my age, my sweat. Not good, man. Look at us all, Arsenal fans. Not many of us are rocking long flowing locks. Are we?
The enforcer, Lady Luck will run out at some stage.
Of course it will, but you need a bit of luck every now and again, and we got one the other night. And I'll just say, because Vinci is Martinelli's agent, I'm Odegaard's agent. So what a cross to put it on Rice Baby's head.
Beautiful.
But if I can just break down the game pretty quickly, all I can say is, Casper, welcome to the party. You've been missing. Casper, the friendly ghost Havertz, finally found his football feet. He must have left them in the wardrobe or something. I'm not quite sure. But, yeah, what I noticed about the game the other night is, again, it's a VAR thing and referees, but, yes, we gave them 2 goals. And Luton played really well. Yeah, really well. I've got to say, they played really well. But we should have had 2 penalties. They were 2 stonewall penalties for me. And so we wouldn't be talking like this if we'd have been given them penalties. I don't think it would be a different conversation. But as it has turned out, yes, it was a bit of lady luck in the last 10 seconds. And, of course, people were in outrage because the game went on for 26 seconds longer than it should have done or something silly like that. Do you know what I mean? But end of the day, you take your luck when you get it. And we did on this occasion. And don't get me wrong, as I say, Luton played out their skin and they would have deserved the point. But as you say, a bit of lady luck, and as we're all saying, those last second goals, God, they make your night, don't they? They make your night. You know, but yeah, Raya, as I say, amateur goalkeeping. How he totally misjudged that one where he came for it and then totally missed it, I couldn't get. But yeah, well done, Luton, but unlucky, and we move on. I tell you what, I'm more worried about tomorrow's match. That's going to be hard. That's going to be really hard.
We'll get to that one in a second.
I know, but I wasn't going to go too deep into it. I'm just saying. You know.
Yeah, Vincey, for you, Lady Luck.
Oh, definitely. I think that's our kryptonite. You know, turn around and say, you know, we there's no team that can hurt us in the Premiership, but any team that's got pace and physicality and the desire and matches us with their tempo, we seem to struggle. Last season showed so many times, you know, for me, the Everton game was pivotal last year where we just fell apart, the first one, and we just almost like we were punch drunk. The Luton game, for me, I just saw, outside of those 2 errors and definitely those 2 penalty chances that we should have had, to me, we looked like we were playing playground football in the midfield and on the flanks. And I was thinking, what happened to our passing? What happened to the composure to set up and set up Luton and make killer passes? And the game was too end to end. And when it gets like that, it's too, as the scoreline shows, it's too nervy. We're too stretched, and we lose our shape. So yes, it's not something that you want on a regular basis, but fair play to the guys in these 13 games so far this season. They've shown on many occasions that championship spirit to go to the end to get the get that goal that's needed. And you know, I think is it 6 goals now that from six goals or 6 games where we've come from scored with substitutions late on in situation to win the game. You know, that's a phenomenal record, but it is very dangerous. It's not something that you want to sustain. So for me, we've got to take more ownership in the first 45 minutes. You know, if we can put the game to bed in the first 45 minutes, so the second half, teams aren't coming at us in the last 10, 15 minutes.
Yeah. I kind of got the impression that game against Luton it felt like a cup tie. I was thinking, am I watching like, I don't know, the third round of the FA Cup or something like that? And of course, as well, the physicality that Luton came with. And on top of that, I thought the referee let a lot of those tackles go. I was thinking, surely that's a penalty. That should have been a free kick. But yeah.
I'll tell you something just quickly that I noticed in the second half. Luton tried to match Arsenal, and that's when they lost it because they ran out of steam. They tried to match us, and they ran out of steam, and that's why they lost it, really. Yeah.
Let's go into the live chat. Just kind of break things up a little bit. We're on the Easy Talk on this Friday morning for some and Friday evening for the majority of us. And John Aguiza says Arteta benched. Can Unai capitalize? We're going to get into that in a moment. Moderator for the show, Ashley, says, hey up Gooners. And I recognize this person. Tim Hogan is also a panelist on Canal 4 TV. It says, hi all, and interesting views on the goalkeeper position. Emerson says, good evening all. Omar Tubi, who's a new subscriber, says, good evening, great presenter. I'm not so sure about that. The game between Villa and Arsenal will go down to chances taken. Arsenal will definitely play well, and we can shock them if Arsenal can take their chances. A game of chances, of course. This kind of game doesn't need much goals, and goals will give us confidence if we can get our chances and score. Villa will be frustrated and shatter their plans. And one more. This kind of game, Arsenal should take serious. Put in an excellent performance. And just one more for Emerson, who says, I see tomorrow match a repeat of last season, and it will depend on who would take their chances. Now, Scott, as we know, Arteta has been charged, and he's going to have a one game, I think, pitch side ban. Is that going to make much difference?
Well, whether it makes a difference or not, it's ridiculous. I don't want to go down the path of complaining about that.
No, go down the path, Scott.
We'll extend the show by another 4 hours.
Go down that rabbit hole, Scott.
Look, if you cannot celebrate a last second winner, why the hell are people? Why watch football? What's the point? What is the absolute point of live football, having people in the stands, managers on the sidelines, if you can't celebrate? I mean, there was footage coming out. Arsenal fans make the best social media detectives. Because as soon as Arteta was charged, the footage of Roberto De Zerbi running around the pitch, there, you've had Klopp knee slides, you've had managers laying on the floor in the park. Like, you've had so many instances of a manager celebrating. It was a last-second winner. Well, I think the charge itself was ridiculous, but unfortunately for me, Mikel can be a bit of a grisly fella in regards to referees and saying it how it is, and I think he's now got that reputation where he's going to get punished for it, unfortunately. So it is a loss to have him there. Everyone knows Mikel on the sideline is very emotional. You can hear him. I can hear him all the way down here. You can hear him clearly. He's barking instructions. He's up and down the pitch. He's very animated. I think we'll miss that, and I think it will make a difference. But AirPod Albert, we've got a good record when he's been at the helm, and I'm sure Mikel Arteta will be communicating. So it is a loss. I think it just takes away from the spectacle, the narrative of having Unai and Arteta on the sideline, and you've got the Emi Martinez subplot. It's just a game. They were signing Emile Smith Rowe. They were our biggest rivals at one point. There were so many subplots to this game, so much that could have been even more enticing about it, but they've taken a big piece of that away, and I think really needlessly, ridiculous. What do they want him to do? Sit there and quietly clap at his chair? It's silly.
Do you think there's some kind of agenda against Arteta and Arsenal, Scott?
Look, I don't buy into the agenda the point that there's an agenda against the club. Because you look around the league, there's just terrible decisions everywhere. everyone seems to be copying them. It's just garbage refereeing, to be honest. But I think Arteta definitely, and we used to see this with Wenger. He would always, if he did something wrong, they would punish him for it. And I think Arteta, unfortunately, now has developed that reputation where they're certainly not going to cut him any slack. So he's got to be in his best behaviour.
The enforcer.
Yes, sir. Well, yeah, I agree with Scott. He says it all in the first statement. Really, so give us a chance, will you, Scott?
Sorry, mate. I'll go last next time. Rub me off.
I agree. He's passionate, and why can't you celebrate a last second goal?
Ridiculous.
And from what I heard it was one of his understudies that said something, not Arteta, but there we go. Take from that what you want. What I've realised is, though, I think Arteta thinks his technical area is from his seat to the centre spot on the pitch.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? He really knows how to use his technical area, doesn't he? Do you know what I mean? You know, it's look, the guy's passionate. The thing is, he like Vincey said before, you don't know how to read him because he's passionate, but he gives nothing away. He keeps his cards very tight to his chest, you know. And yeah, I don't know if there's an agenda, but I will say this. I think the referees this season, and they've probably been the same other season, they've got egos all of a sudden. And wielding a card isn't a problem. The thing is, wielding a card isn't a problem for a referee anymore. It's when they produce the cards that we're all talking about. There are things like Scott said, Vincey said, and you would agree with this. There have been things happening on the pitch, and you would go, "That's a yellow card all day," but they're not doing it. Yeah. And yet you get the slightest knock, and out they come. Do you know what I mean? They've got to find some sort of level ground for this because it's getting ridiculous. It's getting it's absolutely ruining the game. Yeah, you can't even talk to a ref now without it looking aggressive.
Unless you're Manchester City, of course.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Of course. But I mean, it doesn't help. It doesn't help either, though, when the commentators point out everything bad and then exaggerate it. You know what I mean? I've noticed that in the commentating lately. And I've noticed as well, no one's got anything nice to say about Arsenal.
Yeah.
You know, Arsenal were playing so today. Oh yeah, well, this happened last time they played them, and they always bring up something negative. You know, and it's really starting to annoy me, to be honest. Yeah, it's ruining the game that we love. Yeah. And you can't be a fan anymore because if you disagree with the PGM or whatever, they've got so many letters. I don't know what order they're going. If you disagree with them, then you're an outcast. You might as well be taken out into your garden and flogged because you can't be outspoken anymore. Even when you feel that you're right, it doesn't mean you're always right. But even when you feel that you're right, you're not allowed to speak about it. It's ridiculous.
Do you think bringing in foreign referees from other leagues might kind of negate the angst we have about refereeing in this country?
I would yes and no, and the reason I say yes and no, and I know it's a very lame answer, but the reason I say yes and no is I have noticed that the European referees are better, but the thing that makes you say no as well is they're human error. Human error will always crop up in football. Whether you've got VAR, whether you haven't got VAR, whether you've got someone standing either side of the goal to make sure it goes over the line. Do you know what I mean? If you had 5 referees, and there would still be an error, or there would be a disagreement. It's human error, and you can't replace human error.
That's the one thing. That's the one thing that football's protected with all the rules changes over the years is the fact that human error is part of football. So even with technology, you stop and you think that VAR, with all the money that's involved, it's still human error that is managing it, and it's still a problem. So they don't want to eradicate human error from the game.
The other thing as well, Vincey, on that point, I just want to quickly say is it's a matter of opinions as well. I might regard it as offside, but Scott might not. Vincey might not. You might not, Alex. But my opinion, to me, is what counts. You know, that's how I find a lot of fans are. Their opinion counts. Where we can speak openly about it, be sensible to a degree, especially in my case, right? But you know, it comes down to opinions, and as me and Vincey have said, human error. That's it. Simple as.
Yeah. I don't know. I think VAR was supposed to have come in and you know, kind of eliminate or reduce the kind of I say anger that we have. If anything, it's just tenfold. It's even worse now, isn't it? And like you said, we're always going to have human error. But the fact when you've got technology is supposed to help, you know, the referee, it's not. On top of that, you've got referees who have like characters who want to have their day in the sun. It's not a good cocktail, is it? It's not a good cocktail.
Yeah, and I've realised why referees wear their earpieces. Obviously, it is to communicate with VAR, but it's more like, would you please put your coffee down and check this for me, please? Yeah, stop chewing on that cheese and tomato sandwich, and will you check this for me?
Oh, dearie me. So, like you're saying, so there is a big game. I think it's third against first. And I think last week was 4 years since Unai Emery was sacked by Arsenal. Scott, I'm not going to push you for a prediction. I mean, I myself, I don't like to give predictions. But I don't think it's going to be an easy game. Aston Villa have a great home record. Whether Arsenal, Mikel Arteta not being on the sideline will affect how Arsenal played, I'm not so sure about that. But do you see another 3 points for Arsenal in this one?
Look, what I do see is a really tough game. It will be an emotional game for Unai Emery. He'll have a point to prove, and you know what I see at Villa is a squad that's united behind their manager and the philosophy that he's trying to impart. So we're going to have to be prepared for every single one of those Villa players to come out and make everything difficult for us. They're going to fight for every 50-50. They're probably going to be kicking us on and off the ball, and they're going to look to make us pay if they can. They've got characters like Emi Martinez in that squad. You better believe it's personal.
Yeah.
I do think if they try and match us footballing wise and they try and play, you know, an offensive game, I think we can take them and I think we'll find space. What I'm worried about is that they'll try and frustrate us, and that's quite typical of Unai Emery and what he does. He knows how to frustrate teams, particularly when is the underdog, and I don't even know if you'd say they're the underdog in their recent form, but they're going to try and frustrate us. I think it's going to be incredibly close. If I had to say, do I think 3 points are coming? I hope, and we're certainly capable of beating them. We're top of the league for a reason, but I see us potentially cancelling each other out in a pretty fiercely competitive match.
For you, Vincey?
I think it's going to be a tough one. I don't like these Christmas, these festive matches against Villa. They don't always go the way we want it to go. Initially, I predicted 2-1 Arsenal. I'm just fearful of whether we're going to take our chances. As I said, the first 45 minutes is huge. We played them last season. We were only 1-0 up at half time at home. So, you know, I think we got a result away at Villa Park, but it's something where we don't start well in the first 45 minutes, and it's going to be a tough one. I'll definitely stick with my 2-1 prediction. It would be nice to go into the Liverpool game with a win, because let's face it, going up to Anfield is always a tricky one for us. So we need to get something. We need to get something. If it's a point, it's a good point. If it's 3 points, it's a great night. It's a great night.
Yeah. But like Scott says, we haven't even been firing on all cylinders this season, but yet we still find ourselves on the top of the Premier League tree. We just need some more momentum. But like I say, before going into the Liverpool game, Des, your thoughts?
Well, the lads are totally right as always. But I do want to say this: you have got to give Unai Emery some credit. He is proving his point. This could have been Arsenal. This could. I know
be careful, Des.
I know it's 4 years. I know it's 4 years since he left, right? The terms on which he left were horrible. We all know that. We all agree with that. Yeah. But if he was still in charge of Arsenal and we are playing the way we're playing, I think we'd be playing better. Not taking anything away from Arteta, but I genuinely think we would be playing better. And yes, we haven't started as well as we did last season, but we've done well. But all the matches that we've played so far, I think this is the hardest one to date. And then we've got a hard one after that in Liverpool, because as you say, going to Anfield, we don't like it, do we? There must be something in the air or something. But for me, it's gonna be a hard game, and I'm not gonna give. I usually do give a prediction, but I can't give a prediction for this one because it's gonna be so hard this game. They're gonna claw tooth and nail at us, and obviously I'm hoping that we do the same. And what I think I won't give a prediction, but what I think it will come down to is controlling the midfield, and if the defence have a good game.
Des, it might even come down to the goalkeeping.
It might. Yes. Arteta, I'm available if you need me. Put your gloves, mate, and I can come out for crosses. It's all right. I'm all right. Yeah.
That's the last thing we need now. 3 good goalkeepers.
Give me a day off, and I'll come and do me cameo. All right. Before.
Quality.
No prediction, mate, but it's going to be a hard game. It's going to be a game to watch. I'll give it that. It's going to be a game to watch, but it's going to be a hard game.
Yeah. Let me go into the live chat just for the last time before we wrap up this show. Got Glenwyn, Good Matters. Human error has been the scapegoat and easily justified.
Thank you, Glenwyn.
Even gentleman, he says, and we've got Gary DWTT who just says hi, and there's no echo. We have a prediction 2-1. What is that? Does he mean 2-1 to Aston Villa? Is that what he means? Is that what you mean?
We need that clarified.
Yeah.
Write that one again, mate.
We need clarification on that one, Glenwyn. What do you mean? What two? I don't understand, Vincey. What's he trying to say?
Saying Aston Villa beat us 2-1.
I think that's what it is, isn't it? Clarification, please.
Yeah, I think it's 2-1 to us. I think so.
He needs to clarify that.
I hope
so. And Tim says, is Emery a better manager now after his initial experience to the Premier League through Arsenal, Scott?
100%. He had a baptism of fire. And look, I wonder, I think about this a lot when I've got free time between work and toddler and all the other things going on. But we have heavily backed Mikel, and I'm cool with Mikel. It's been a bit of a journey, but I've come around now. It took me a while, but if we'd have given Unai Emery the money that we've given Mikel and the patience and trust that we've given Mikel, I'm just curious. I don't know. I genuinely don't know the answer, but I'd love to see 2 things. One, what our squad would have looked like, what kind of players he would have signed, what his philosophy would have been. And number two, where we'd be in the league or if we'd have won anything. I don't know the answer to it. But I do think Emery got a tough run at the Arsenal as well. He wasn't given patience or the financial backing, and I think that I put that in the Cronkies. They've finally started dipping their hands in their pockets. I just would have loved to have seen what would have happened there, but I'm certainly not complaining about where we are now. I'm quite happy under Mikel.
Okay, and for you, Vincey, is Emery a better manager now?
I think he's a better manager. I think we all got to go through adversity at times and learn from it. Would we be better if he was managing us? I'm not sure. I think there's a lot of things at Arsenal that needed to change. Culture-wise, I think it's a good thing that Arteta's addressed that. Tactically wise, I think we could do with some of our Emery's tactics. I think we at times go into games a little bit naive, and this is where Arteta needs to. And this season, if anything, you can call that Luton game our plan C. Playground football, where we can play that way to a degree and get a result. But it's those type of games where you look and you think we shouldn't be in that situation. So why are we in that situation? If Emery's that type of manager, and he's got, I wasn't that excited about that 22 game unbeaten run because I thought the squad that we had and the type of football that Emery was playing didn't suit us. So the guys were completely shattered, and it showed towards the latter end of that season they couldn't push on. But give him the right striker, give him the right formation, as you said, allowing them the funds that Arteta's had. You can imagine, we could have had some top quality. Not saying we don't have top quality players, but we could have had some probably better quality players in our squad now. So, yes, I think he's definitely a better manager. Not sure if he would be a better manager at Arsenal.
But Vincey, just very quickly before I go to Des, Tony Adams has said that if Unai was our manager, we would have won the Premier League at least once. So
I think he would have. I think his tactics would have definitely helped us last season. Definitely helped us. Yeah. I can't see us in any capacity of winning the league before last season, but in the position that we were in, I thought the second half, we were a little bit naive in some of those games, not learning from, the Everton game for me, where we were just completely got bullied. And then you go to Southampton and West Ham, and those situations, Emery's not going to allow those things to happen. So, it was a learning curve, unfortunately, that the team had to go through. And maybe I think the players as well, because everyone thought it was in our hands. And it's like this season now, there's like, okay, they've come back with a mindset. Nothing's given to you. You go out there and earn it. And unfortunately, the way how the media and the FA treat us and other fans, I think there is an agenda against Arsenal. They would probably prefer Liverpool to challenge Man City for the title than Arsenal. Let's go out. If any of you guys can remember when we got points deducted and, everything was against us, George Graham, he used that to his advantage, the squad's advantage, go out there and get a result. So I think this season is even more better than last season for what we went through. We should be, that Luton foolishness where, having teams like that coming back at us. Now let's go out there, put a result in. All or nothing has shown us you've got to be switched on. You've got to be switched on.
Brilliant. Des, and for you, Unai Emery.
Unai Emery a better manager? Is that the question?
Yeah, for the experience he had for Arsenal.
Let's be honest. When he was with us, Arsenal were broken, very broken. We didn't have a very good team. He had to have Pepe, if you remember. Or that was going about at the time, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So yes, he is a better manager, and I've got to say, last season, if he was in charge of Arsenal when we played Villarreal, he would have won that trophy.
Oh yeah.
He would have won that trophy. But he would have won it with Arsenal. I genuinely believe that. So yeah, he would have won a trophy. I won't go as far as we would have won the league, but we would have won a trophy that Unai Emery, as in that European trophy. And yeah, let's be honest. I mean, sorry, Arteta has won an FA Cup. Brilliant. Hasn't done nothing since. You know, he's still got a lot to prove. And don't get me wrong, I'm not Arteta out. I like what he's doing. I can see what he's trying. I can see what he's trying to do. Yeah, and hopefully, it's going to play out. You know, it's going to play out. And if you remember as well, guys, last season everybody was saying, "Well, this is the only season Arsenal in the league. They better win it this year." We've done it exactly again. We're going up the same sort of way again. I just hope, as we've said in this show, we don't have those blocks where we've stumbled and where we should have won. But that's all conjecture. But yes, Unai Emery is a better manager. And I think he had to go through the process of Arsenal, which he did, to become a better manager.
Yeah. Got a lot to prove, hasn't he? A lot to prove. Yeah.
Yeah.
Couple more comments. Clarification. So Glenwood did mean a win for the Villa.
Wow.
Glenwood, what are you doing? If you're a bad word later, young man, I'll be sending you a message.
And the last one, he says, I think Unai was always a better manager. Arsenal didn't give him the opportunity. So last question to Scott. And again, I'm not Arteta out. I'm not, for the time I supported Arsenal from since the mid 1970s, I've never wanted any manager to be sacked. So I thought I'd put that out there. But if he does not win any trophy or win the Premier League this season, are there going to be massive questions? I mean, when does the process, where do we draw the line in the process? Does he get given another year, another 2 years? What happens if he doesn't win anything this season, Scott?
Is this what I think the club would do or what I personally would do?
Both.
Both. Well, I think the club will back him. No, pretty much no matter what, unless we were to fall like into Chelsea territory, had to take a pop at them. Unless we were to fall into that territory at the end of the season, I think Mikel has the club's full backing and full support financially, in terms of trust, in terms of signings. So I've no doubt the club will back him. Any kind of European football qualification, I think they keep him. Whether you agree or disagree. For me personally, I just want to see us continue to improve. Like, if we didn't win a trophy this year, but we got to, a Champions League final and we finished second in the league in a very tight race, well, I can see that we're evolving, because we didn't have to juggle the Champions League last season. Yeah. But then in the following season, I'd be expecting some silverware. So as long as we're gradually improving, and I think we are, and we maintain the core of this talented squad, your Saliba, Saka, Martinelli, Erdegaard, maintain the core, let them learn through experience, and Arteta's still learning and developing too. I think the ceiling is very, very high. But this league is intense. There's no easy games. You take nothing for granted. Be grateful anytime you get 3 points. So I would keep him, and I think the club will too.
Yeah. And for you, Vincey, if there were no trophies this season, didn't win the Premier League, would you ask questions, or would you keep him on for another season?
I'll keep him on. I think the club will keep him on. I'm still going to ask questions. I'm asking questions because I don't think we're utilising the squad very well. I think if you look at the money that Arsenal's backed him, we don't have a recognised striker. So I don't think you can, as well as we're playing in regards to challenging last season, we still don't have a recognised striker that you can turn around and say, actually, you know what, we're going up against the big boys to win the Champions League or Premiership. And that, for me, even with the money spent on Jesus, that for me is where I think the club are going to look and think, okay, well, how is this squad? You know, if the money we paid, we should be able to field a decent League Cup team to go out and put a performance and manage a League Cup competition. If it's not a League Cup, well, we can do it in the FA Cup. If we can't do those two, and we just focusing on the Premiership and the Champions League, that's a lot of money. And at some point, you're going to need to get a return on that money. So I do think that we've got some great youngsters. I'm a huge fan of Saliba. Saliba and Gabriel, I think that partnership is immense. Tomiyasu, a huge talent. Saka, Odegaard, Rice. I do think that we have, even though we score goals, to win the elite competitions like the Champions League and to really dominate in the league, you really do need a dominant striker. And
but that's by design, isn't it?
I don't think.
Yeah,
that's the problem, because as you say, if we don't win anything, we're still in the same situation, and a lot of money has been spent. So it's if you're looking at it and think, okay, well, yes, I can see the design, but you can't spend this amount of money and you can't perform in the League Cup, you can't perform in the FA Cup, because you performed when you came in on the FA Cup by making managerial changes, beating the big boys when we didn't expect to win those games.
Yeah.
So, you know, this at some stage, some questions still need to be asked. I still think he's the right guy to do it. His managerial skills need to be improved, more tactics. But we got a squad. Why can't we perform in the league, in the cups? Why?
I think because he's picking and choosing which competitions he wants to go for.
In cups as well. He seems to experiment in cups as well, doesn't he?
Yeah, and you stop and you think we got a good plum tie against Liverpool. What do you think the tactics are going to be in that? Is he going to? Is he just going to just play Ramsdale and play some of the kids to give them a rest? And you just think, well, what is it?
Yeah. We just don't know because he don't let you know anything, does he?
Nah.
I'm a bit concerned, Alex. On camera, I'm starting to look like Sean Dyche. I'm a little bit concerned.
Oh, I thought, are you not Sean Dyche? I'm sorry. Get him off.
We eat bricks, we eat wood.
Oh dear. There's one more just coming as we're about to end the show. Vinci, I'm saying play Tommy up to mate. Looks like he can be a striker as well.
Yeah, I mean, Tomiyasu, I think he's such a versatile player. I think his injury is as bad as us missing Timber. I think that those two are just phenomenal. You can move players around different formations with those two players there. Yeah, big loss for us. Big loss.
Yeah.
Can I just quickly give my thoughts on the question you just asked, Dan?
Oh, yes. Sorry, Sean. Go on. Sorry, Des.
All right, it's all right. I know where you live. It's all right. Now, what I wanted to say was this. Is an FA Cup enough? Do you know, if we were to win the FA Cup this season, we are still in it, aren't we? I'm just double checking that. Going back to my original point, right?
Yes, answer to your question, no, it's not. With the amount of money that we spent and the ambition that we have as a club, it's not enough.
Yeah.
It's not enough.
And my biggest concern is this, okay? Progression, going further on, right? Just quickly. Yes, we've spent £105 million on Declan Rice, and I've heard that there's a GoFundMe going about that Arsenal fans have started to try and give West Ham more money, right? Okay, now that's great. And yes, he has hit the ground running and he's been worth every penny. But how do we progress? I'm ending with a question, sorry, but how do we progress from Declan Rice to make the team better?
Scott?
A Declan Rice type signing up top.
As in striking, yeah.
I think we're at the point now where our squad is so good. It's not about adding quantity. It's about just using that budget to bring in really big superstars like Rice.
Right, fair enough.
If anything, I want to see Thomas Partey playing his best football last season, this season alongside Rice.
He's going to be sold, man. He's not coming back. He's going to be sold.
Well, then to me, that's the problem where the squad falls down, because you put two players, for me, down the spine. You put two players of the quality of like Rodri. We will struggle to get through them. And that's a lot for Rice to deal with on his own, because Havertz is going to have to drop back. Odegaard's going to get sucked in, and we're struggling. So this is where the tactics for me of Arteta, and when he got Rice, I was thinking, okay, Rice Partey, okay, I can see it. But then you got Havertz and he brought him back, and it's like, I'm not sure. So it's if you, as Scott says, if you get Rice, you've got to get another player of that quality or better, whether at top as a striker or playing them alongside him as an option. Because even right now, El Nene, 1-year contract, Jorginho, 1-year contract, those two are just not on that same level for a sustained challenge. And that's where our weakness is in the Arsenal team.
Yeah, but Vince as well. We spoke about the likes of Reece Nelson, Emil Smith-Rowe. These guys, if they're not injured, they're going to form. Are they going to make it? Are they going to be sustained presence in the first team? So I think Scott's right. That kind of player ilk or that amount of money, quality players. But I still want Arsenal to have that one striker that can guarantee minimum 20 to 25 goals. But that's just not the way that Mikel Arteta wants the team to play. It's by design.
Bring me Ivan Toney. I want Ivan Toney.
But does he want that kind of striker? He doesn't. He wants like a blueprint kind of Man City. There's no one striker unless we got Erling Haaland. But
we won't get even if you look at Osman, we won't get Osman. He's too expensive.
Oh well.
So Alex, do you think if he doesn't want that striker, what he's asking is for his front five to score 15 goals each?
Absolutely. Yeah. That's what it is.
15 goals each. 15 goals each. Basically. Yeah. But 15 goals each. Jesus, I don't think he scored 15 goals in his best season to date. And he's the type of player who gets injured and misses chances. So again, goes back to our tactics. Do we move the ball enough, or do we take enough shots, quality shots, that's going to warrant those front five getting 15 goals? If you can work that, then we don't need a top striker. But we've struggled in games we have loads of shots, but it's the quality shot, it's the quality chances. That's where we're missing.
Yeah. Vinci, you sound like an agent, man.
Sounds like Martinelli's agent. He sounds like Martinelli's agent.
Hidden talents, guys. Hidden talents.
Do you know, guys, we've come to an end. Scott, unless you want to say anything else on top of that before we finish.
The Martinelli's agent wrapped it up beautifully.
Oh,
good. Nice one. So that's it. Just over an hour. A really good show. Really good show. Good to see Scott back. The enforcer, and of course, get that commission, Vinci. That's it. So I will be back tomorrow for an instant post-game reaction for the Aston Villa game. I'm not going to give a prediction. It's going to be a tough game. I'll just leave it like that. There's brilliant stuff. Absolutely fantastic. Good to see you back on the platform as always.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. It's been great to be on with these guys as well. They know their stuff, and it's just good to be part of this family.
Absolutely. And Vinci, of course, you can find Vinci on Arsenal. Is it 101 on Arsenal or Arsenal 101? What is it, Vinci?
In my head, it's Arsenal 101.
101, yeah.
It's actually 101 on Arsenal.
Oh, dear. I'll leave the link. Is there going to be watch on tomorrow?
Yeah, there's a stream tomorrow.
Right,
okay. There's a watch on tomorrow.
All right, so I'll leave a link for that platform there. And last but not least, Scott is just around the corner in Australia. What time is it now? It's 25 to...
7:30 in the morning.
Right, okay. Wow. Go and get your breakfast, Scott.
Cheers, gentlemen. Pleasure as always. Thanks for having me on.
Fantastic. So until then, that's it. And cannon fodder, the channel for Arsenal fans all over this world. Up the Gunners! Brilliant, guys.